Hi, everybody. We are back on Friday. It's been quite a week, hasn't it? I had stayed away this week out of silent prayer and respect, and I wanted to come back today and invite you to join me in focusing on what we can control, which is how we show up for ourselves. I love the Stephen Covey 90-10 principle that life is only 10% about what happens to us and 90% about how we respond. One of the things that came up in a webinar I had done last week with the Oasis Palisades Retreat Collective last Tuesday was Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. He's a survivor of the Holocaust. He was in a concentration camp. The way that he coped with that reality was coming to the revelation inside of himself that he was still in control of how he responded to that entire unfair, unlawful, inhumane nightmare experience. So that is what we can do. It's very timely too. I don't think it's an accident. This month is the month of June, is PTSD month, post-traumatic stress disorder month. So I wanted to invite you to explore what PTSD is. So it's being trapped in the fight or flight response, the sympathetic stress nervous system response, for more than a month. And so now that we're going on, this pretty much started here in LA on March 11th. I think it's the same date for many other people as well. So now it's been over 2 months, 2.5 months, going on 3 months of COVID-19, and now into this police brutality series of protests across the country that have resulted in violent riots. So today I drove through my neighborhood of Hollywood and I saw the military soldiers with their machine guns on the corners of my street a few blocks away. So the reality really hit home for me. I had been here before during September 11th in New York City in 2001. I lived and worked downtown, and the World Trade Center towers that were hit by the airplanes were smoldering and burning for months, and the cleanup had to happen over months of time, and there was the emergency in the beginning as far as shutting down the city and shutting down traffic and shutting down my neighborhood with tanks and soldiers. I had to show ID to get into my house. So I could be re-triggered into post-traumatic stress disorder from this current LA riots and COVID-19 shelter-at-home order and all of the series of helicopters and sounds, the activities on the streets, and that's not going to help me to focus on that, is it? And this is what I'm inviting you to do today, like Viktor Frankl did in a concentration camp. We can choose, like Stephen Covey suggests, to look at our lives from this 90-10 principle. We can choose a positive way to show up for ourselves and respond to these circumstances in a way that empowers us, in a way that keeps us protected and strong. And so we want to shift out of this fight or flight stress response. So it's really this simple. We're just shifting our state. And so that is a mental emotional state that we're stuck in, of fear, of sadness and grieving, of pain, of frustration, of anger. I don't know if I'm missing any emotions. It can be a roller coaster cycling through these emotions as we see these images either in our own face like we did today. I didn't even have to turn on a TV because there's still basic essential life needs that are served by actually going outside and going into a place of business as I had to do today. Because too, I am an essential worker as an acupuncturist, and I still have patients with health conditions not related to COVID-19 virus that need treatment. And I had committed myself to being a public servant and being of service to these patients. And so I am morally committed to doing my job. So part of the challenge is finding a way to do that keeps myself safe, keeps my patients safe within all these circumstances. And then how do I show up for that in a way that is promoting my wellness, my health, my wholeness? How do I show up to be of service, to be of benefit to society, and show up for myself? So it's about recognizing that we are stuck in a state. So I got emotional just talking about it. So if I am in the emotional state and I'm overwhelmed by it, I can get in any of the other 3 states, because there's only 3 other states. So I can do a mental activity, I can do a physical activity. Physical is also a sensory activity. And I say sensory activity because one of the things I wanted to share today was 2 things actually, tools that I use on a regular basis to change my state. So if I'm stuck in one emotion of fear, of sadness, of grief, of pain, of frustration, I can play music that will make me feel different. I can watch a TV show or a film that makes me laugh. I can do laughter yoga. I can release all the stress from my body with laughter. I can release all the stress from my body from singing. Does anybody else do song concerts in their car? That's one of my favorite places because it's a private space. I'm alone in my car. Nobody can hear me. It's a quality time space for me where I can help myself release some of these overwhelming emotions and feel lighter and freer because I released them. So the laughter is also, and the singing is also releasing the carbon dioxide that gets trapped in our lungs, because when we go into fight or flight, we lean forward and we breathe shallow, and we keep this carbon dioxide in our lungs that makes us more irritable, more frustrated. So we have to open up our chest, we have to let it go. So think about, what is your soundtrack that you're listening to all day when you're at home or when you're driving in your car? Do you have a theme song of the day? Are you letting yourself sing? It's not about being in perfect pitch. That's totally irrelevant. It's about being in the moment and letting yourself release these emotions and have them pass through you, from singing along to a song that makes you feel empowered, that deepens your faith, that makes you feel alive, also makes you feel focused or energized or relaxed. So again, in this time of high anxiety, in this time of depression, in this time of anger and frustration, we can listen to music. So binaural beats, there are free playlists. Binaural, B-I-N-U, I'm missing a letter, binaural, U-R-A-L, B-I-N-U-R-A-L beats. So those can put you to sleep. Those can help you relax. They put your brain in a meditative state. So they can help, again, take us out of the emotion that we're stuck in, of fear, anger, frustration, of grief. We can switch that with the music. We can calm ourselves down with binaural beats. We can focus our minds. We can calm ourselves down. We can feel some freedom from listening to binaural beats, from listening to Sanskrit chant music is a type of yoga meditation. When we do chants, it's like a form of self-hypnosis. Again, it is helping our brain waves and frequency functioning harmonize, improve, focus, and calm us down. So the Sanskrit chants are actually beautiful when they are translated. They are some of the most poignant prayers, beautiful prayers that I have ever read. And so from singing along, I love Deva Premal is an artist, a Sanskrit chant artist. So is Krishna Das. So is Satnam Kaur. They're my top 3 favorite Sanskrit artists. So we can make a station on Pandora of our favorite songs. We can make a playlist on YouTube of the music that will play while we are at home, doing anything we're doing, cleaning, cooking, working. So I'm inviting you to ask yourself, are you satisfied with the soundtrack of your life? Because we can get in the driver's seat of using the soundtrack of our life to support ourselves. It's an excellent way we can show up for ourselves and change our mood. We can support our spirit. We can uplift ourselves with music. And if we choose to do that, then we can change our whole state of being, our whole life experience. We can be in a much better quality of life just from the soundtrack we're playing. Another soundtrack suggestion is Mozart. Mozart actually has been researched and used in schools with children, and it helps them focus and get along better, play in harmony, work in harmony on class projects, be able to listen to, understand, and retain the information better. And that's just playing Mozart at a low level in the background. So that's a great asset for you too. So what we are doing in our daily life as we go through the day, we can notice if we are overwhelmed. So if we're overwhelmed with emotions, we can use music, use entertainment, a funny show, a funny movie, laughter yoga. We have choices, and it only takes a few minutes. One of the things I recommend to patients all the time, a trampoline, a small rebounder trampoline we can get on Amazon for less than $100. A song, an average song is 3 to 5 minutes. So again, if we've been sitting working at home, if we're in physical pain as well from sitting or standing too long, or doing tasks, we have to do tasks too of cleaning, of organizing. When we're stuck in a physical state where we're in physical pain, then we can use other tools to shift our state. We're just constantly noticing when we're stuck in a state, and then we can use another state to get us unstuck. That's what I invite you to explore. How are you doing with that? So again, we can use a trampoline, and we can listen to our theme song of the day and bounce on the trampoline. There's no wrong way to bounce. If we don't have a trampoline, that's okay. We could dance for 3 to 5 minutes singing a favorite song of ours and completely change our whole attitude, our whole mood, our whole fatigue, pain, right? Whether it's emotional or physical pain. So I really invite you, choose at least one theme song of the day. Take some time to sing your theme song and get your boogie on. Have a little dance, move around. That can totally change our whole life experience. So we can help ourselves by these small actions, noticing if we are overwhelmed and stuck, uncomfortable in any of our 4 states, and use another state to change it. So again, another thing to do, meditation and prayer. If we do meditation prayer, that's a spiritual state. So if we are emotional or we are physically stuck, we can use meditation and prayer. So that's one of the things I like about the Sanskrit songs. They are both meditation and prayer. The repetition It's 108 times you're repeating a chant that's a prayer. And so everything disappears when we focus on prayer, doesn't it? We can really focus on connecting to the truth within us, our deep faith within us, that no matter what we see or how challenging, how overwhelming, how painful, how sad, how tragic, we can dive into our faith and remind ourselves of the promises in the Bible if you're a Christian. Whatever your faith is, whatever your experience of spirit, of a higher power, of creation, of the natural force of nature within us and all things that heals itself, that rebuilds, that grows, that's part of our nature as living beings. And we can get quiet and we can connect to that and remember life wants to live, life wants to regenerate, life wants to rebuild. The life force of all living things wants to be balanced and in harmony and healthy and rebuild. It's the nature of life. And that lives within us and all things. And it's always there, waiting for us to get quiet enough to connect to it. So we have these opportunities to notice when we're stuck and look for the tools that we enjoy. So you can read spiritual books, personal development books. I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins. I'm a big fan of Brendon Burchard. I'm a big fan of Joel Osteen. Whatever it is that you have found from whatever teacher, author, speaker, trainer, whomever they are, that is speaking truth, that you know is true for you, turn to them. We can read that book. We can listen to that TED Talk. We can go to their YouTube channel. We can fill up what I like to call our spirit gasoline tank, and we can bring ourselves back from the edge by choice, on purpose, moment by moment, hour by hour. This is what I've been doing for myself all week. This is what I have trained myself to do since September 11th, since my car accident in 1994 when I became a chronic pain patient. Hour by hour, moment by moment, day by day, we take our lives back. We take ourselves back. We recognize our challenge and we look for our tools, our self-care toolbox, and we use a tool and we bring ourselves back. So whatever it is that for you, you can write that down. Sometimes when we're so overwhelmed, it's hard even to remember what our tools are. So write down, what do you do in the spiritual state? Who are your go-to people? I wrote down yesterday a new commitment for me for 6 months. This is who I'm going to turn to for the next 6 months. I'm going to listen to their talks. I'm going to read their books. I'm going to dive into my top 3 I just mentioned. So now to December, I'm all about Joel Osteen, Tony Robbins, and Brendon Burchard. And my wonderful colleague and friend, Sean Tibero, has a wonderful mindset book as well. So what are your go-tos? What are you working on with your personal development time to lift your spirit up, to change your perspective? I mentioned Stephen Covey earlier. I'm a big fan of him. He has the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People book where the 90-10 principle comes from. I have a library of books I can reread too. I reread books. I'm a passion test facilitator. The passion test helps us get clear about our top 5, what matters most to us, our values, our passions, so that we can be completely clear about what's most important to us. So when opportunities and decisions come, if they don't honor what's most important to us, we say no. And if we recognize that this opportunity will speak to and support us in having more of what's most important to us, then we say yes. So I've reread that book more than once. I can do it again. I like to do the passion test once a year, even every 6 months, to get clear, get completely clear. There are many wonderful tools for us to get clear, to use this time to get clear. Who are we? What is most important to us? What is our nature? How can we help ourselves? So just make a list. Who are you going to follow? Who are you going to seek truth, wisdom from? And when you have those moments of emotional overwhelm, go read a passage, a page in that book. Do that prayer. Listen to that song. We have so much at our disposal, so many things that can help ourselves. So we have the movement of the dance, the theme song of the day, laughter, yoga, and comedies. Can let all of these emotions pass through us and come back to ourselves, and then focus our attention on what we can control. So how can we support ourselves? How can we be kind? What's the kindest thing we can do for ourselves is a great question to ask throughout the day. Noticing what do we need? What is the support? So we have these simple 4 states. So when I get emotionally overwhelmed, I can go to my toolbox. I do yoga, I do meditation, I do prayer, I do personal development study. And when I talk about physical state, again, if we do some movement like the trampoline dancing or dancing to a favorite song or any type of exercise, but there's also the sensory aspect of it. One of the things I wanted to share with you today is we can use aromatherapy too. That will also change our state. So maybe some of you have also had a favorite perfume, or somebody had a favorite cologne or some favorite flowers. Scents are very powerful, and they can completely change our emotions just like songs. And they can help us completely change our state too. And so if we're tired right now in the afternoon, we can all get tired, especially 4 to 6 p.m. Our natural thyroid levels go down. We can feel tired and dragging and just yucky. And so what do? So that could be a good time to meditate for 5 to 20 minutes, do some breathing techniques. What would you do to help yourself at that natural time of day after you've been doing things that you are dragging? What would you do? Could you take a walk? Could you dance to a theme song and sing along? Could you use something like aromatherapy? So I have behind me, this is an aromatherapy diffuser here. It's very simple. You just put some water inside, and then you put 6 drops of any scent that you like. So lavender is a really great scent that relaxes your nervous system. It can help you wind down when you're anxious and stressed. It can help you wind down to be able to relax and go to sleep. So after you've done your work for the day, you can put on some lavender in your diffuser to start winding down, letting go of the stress. What are these practices that you can do to help yourself de-stress? What does that look like for you? That's what this conversation is about today. How can you show up for yourself, focusing on what you can control? If the whole world's out of control, the whole world can be out of control. It doesn't matter in the sense that whatever is happening in the world that we can't control cannot stop us from showing up for ourselves and responding in a positive way that promotes our wellness and our wholeness. So yes, evaluate your toolbox. Thanks for saying that. We all need to be reminded. That's why we need community. Community is so important. We can help each other remember how we can help ourselves, because again, when we're in fight or flight, when we're in the stress response, our logical brain, our forebrain, our consciousness goes to the back of our brain. We're not in the conscious forebrain of focused thought. So we don't think well. We're emotionally reactive in the back of our brain. That's the problem. That's why when we're stressed, we can forget what our toolbox is. So please, this has been a very stressful week on top of a very stressful 2 months. And my mission here, my goal, my hope, my purpose here is to help you not be stuck in PTSD. You don't have to be stuck in post-traumatic stress disorder, in an anxious and emotionally reactive, overwhelmed state. We don't have to live there. We don't. We can help ourselves moment by moment, hour by hour, day by day. Remind our body, mind, and spirit that it is possible for us to be relaxed, to be happy, to go into our parasympathetic self-healing state. So we can become our own medicine by flipping the switch off on stress by using our toolbox. So what does your toolbox look like? Do you have some lavender aromatherapy? Have you tried it? You can put it in a diffuser, but it doesn't matter if you have a diffuser. You can just sit for a few minutes, taking deep breaths, breathing in the lavender. One of the best things about our body, it's a wonderful asset because it's like a wonderful pet. Our physiological state can be easily trained. The magic's in the repetition. We just need to do the habit. We need to use the tool. So if we took the time, as we are right now, this is going on 22 minutes. In the afternoon, when I felt dragging and emotional, I wanted to share some of the tools that I turn to help build myself up again, to put myself back into our healing, rest, digest, repair, parasympathetic nervous system response. So I have many choices. So do you. What is your toolbox? Are you going to use aromatherapy like lavender? Are you going to use a theme song that you dance to? Do you have a trampoline you can bounce on? It's not about how long, it's just about that 2 to 5 minute. I like to call it mind body minutes a day mastery. You can become a mind body master of yourself. In just 2 to 5 minutes, you can change your state. You're in complete control of your life experience. You are in the driver's seat of your happiness, your health, and your wholeness. You are. I am. We are. So please, I invite you to evaluate what is your toolbox. And you can write down your tools and just look at the list. What are your mind tools? What are the activities you will use as a mental activity? So maybe that's organizing your calendar, or what kind of mental project would you do? Are you going to make lists of this is a wonderful time too. If there's anything that, I had this conversation with a friend recently, if there's anything that we've wanted to do, now's the time to list it out and do it and get on it. We're very confronted with the fragility of life and the limited time that we may have, and so let's get really clear. Let's get clear on what's most important. Maybe you want to read a book like The Passion Test by Chris and Janet Atwood. Maybe you want to get clear on what's most important to you by reading a book and doing the exercises in the book. That's what I like about Sean Tiberio's book. It's a workbook too. The mindsets, the exploration. Let us know ourselves. It's the truth about ourselves that will set us free by us taking the time to get clear. So let's list our tools in our toolbox. So we're ready to use them on a dime. We just look at the list. So what are your mental tools? What are your go-to books that inspire you? What are your go-tos that you will listen to? What teachers, what mentors? Who are you turning to for wisdom and guidance? Where do you find them? That's a mental activity to list that out, that go-to list. What is your physical activity? Will you take a walk? What are you going to do physically to move? In my other videos, I've shared things like tapping. It's a light massage that you can do. There's no wrong way to do it. Any kind of pressure activates your lymphatic system. Of detox, it'll help you feel energized. It'll help you have less pain if you have pain, because it's reducing inflammation, getting rid of waste products in your cells. So What will you physically do for yourself? What does movement and exercise look like for you? How can you keep it simple? What would you do in 5 minutes? I think the easiest one is to pick a theme song and get a little boogie on. With or without a trampoline, who cares? Again, for emotional states, what are your go-to theme songs? Can you make a playlist? What are the songs that really, really make you feel inspired and empowered? Make that list and play them. Have that be your go-to. What are those? How can you help yourself is the question here. What's the kindest thing you can do for yourself at any given moment? What does that look like for you? Let's get clear. Let's decide. The sense, what can you have in your environment that will help you? What are your favorite scents? Rose is very uplifting too. If you feel tired, things like peppermint, things like eucalyptus will open up your sinuses. Citrus, like lemon, those clean, fresh citrus scents can make you feel more awake, more invigorated. You can actually use basil in order to memorize information. It helps with brain focus. I used it when I was studying for my acupuncture board exam. I love holy basil. It's also antiviral, antimicrobial, aromatherapy scent. I have that in my diffuser right now during the day. I'm cleaning the air. Another one I really like is Nature Shield. It's a blend of some citrus, of cloves. Again, it's killing germs, it's cleaning the air, and I also find that it's very invigorating, uplifting. I enjoy the scent of it. So, what are your go-tos on your list? What would you enjoy? How can you help yourself? What would that look like for you? So when you are overwhelmed with an emotion, like we can be especially lately, physical, emotional pain, what is your go-to? What would you do for yourself? What does that look like? In any one state that we're stuck in, spiritual state, mental state, emotional state, physical state, we only have 4 states. We're cycling through them all day long. It can become an art and science of how we dance through those states and use them to help ourselves. So please, I invite you, take time for yourself. We can help ourselves so that we can respond in productive, positive ways to these circumstances that we're living in. We can use this positive resistance to become stronger and better than we have ever been, with a deeper state of peace and faith than we have ever experienced because of these challenges. There's this wonderful research study I love. It's such a wonderful example of this, of positive resistance. Scientists were studying trees in a greenhouse, and they didn't put any winds. They didn't think to put winds. So as the trees got bigger, their branches got so heavy that they shattered of their own weight, because that wind wasn't blowing against the tree, making the tree stronger so that it could carry its own weight as it grew. So all of this, we have the choice. It is our choice how we choose to look at life, circumstances, and ourselves. We choose our response to our circumstances and how we look at ourselves. We can choose to see all of these current events as positive resistance, of challenges, of obstacles that we can use as opportunities for us to grow deeper faith, deeper peace that passes all understanding, that's not dependent on circumstances. We can make ourselves happy, safe, free, supported, on purpose, using one tool from our toolbox at a time. So we only have 4 states, Loretta just asked. You can write these down. I'll put them in the comments of the video. So we have our mental state, our spiritual state, our emotional state, and our physical state. And we're simply cycling through these all day long. we'll tend to get stuck in a physical state and in an emotional state of, and I would say that the mental emotional is connected, isn't it? Because we'll get on trains of certain thoughts, and certain thoughts will make certain emotions, and we'll get stuck in those habitual thoughts that are making these painful emotions, and then we'll have pain in our body. Have you experienced this phenomenon of being human? I've seen this many times within my own self. So when we notice that we have mental fatigue, brain fog, we just feel yucky, it's hard for us to focus, we feel moody, we feel sad, scared, angry, anxious. I keep putting my hand near my chest. Stress will land a certain place in our body. We'll feel chest tightness, or we'll feel nausea in our stomach, or we'll feel these sensations. When we notice this is happening, go to your list of how you can help yourself. What's your toolbox? Choose a tool and use it. Which state is the loudest? Is your mood the loudest? Is the body pain the loudest? What is it? And choose a tool and use it. And in 2 to 5 minutes, change your state. Take yourself back, take your life back. So I'm encouraging you to embrace this is all part of being human. We are here to remind each other how to take care of ourselves and show up for ourselves. And we can become stronger for all of this, more resilient. So we don't need circumstances to change in order for us to still be healthy and whole. We can make that happen for ourselves on purpose, moment by moment, hour by hour, in 2 to 5 minutes. We can keep choosing this, change our state, take ourselves back. We do not have to be stuck in post-traumatic stress disorder. We can bring ourselves back into a healthy state of being, or we'll regenerate and our immune system will be strong. We can, together, reminding each other to use our tools. So I really hope that this helps you. Now, at the end of the week on Friday, I wanted to do this on Friday towards the end of the day. Can we all make time for ourselves this weekend to come back to ourselves, come back to our highest self, our true nature, that wants to live, wants to be balanced, of truth and wisdom, our highest self, our best selves, our human selves, our humane selves. Let's come back to our best selves. Let go of all of the stress, all of the emotions, all of the emotional reactivity, and be present and conscious again, and we can make better informed decisions for ourselves and how we show up in the world and how we treat each other. Let's do that together this weekend. Let's connect to that purest place within us, that light inside of us. Come back to that truth and wisdom and be guided by that as we move forward in our lives. So I wish you all to be well, and find that resiliency to be well within yourselves, and to come back. And this month, really, let's work on together making sure that we're moving forward and we're not stuck in PTSD for this PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder themed month. Let's really, really take care of ourselves. Really use our self-care toolbox, get new tools if we need them, and make sure that we become better than ever, we become resilient, we are able to be our best self. From all of this positive resistance, we can come out better and treat ourselves and each other better, and come up with the best solutions to these problems together long term, from that pure truth place within us, from consciousness, not emotional reactivity. So, Be well, and I'll see you next week. Take care.